This video covers Chapter 7 Skills Reviews 7-34 through 7-35. We're going to be creating graphics, and so you want to launch InDesign and then go ahead and open up your chapter data file 7-3. You can go ahead and update links. I'm going to reset my workspace. Just so I can get this all in the view for you. Okay, make sure all of your guides are locked. So go to View, Grids and Guides, Lock Guides. And then it wants us to click the top edge of the frame containing the ghosted image with the direct selection tool. So I have the direct selection tool selected. I click the top edge of the frame. And then it wants us to drag the top middle anchor point down to the first horizontal, or the cyan guide. There you go. So we did that. Click the pen tool. Position the pointer over the bottom edge of the frame so that a plus sign appears beside the tool. Then click to add an anchor point at the 3-inch mark of the horizontal ruler. I see that plus sign. It's very, very tricky here. Okay, so I add a little anchor point there. Deselect all. Then click the direct selection tool. Click one edge of the frame to select the frame again. There we go, and we can see the anchor point that we just added. And then select the new anchor point. Click Edit on the menu bar, then click Cut. So we took that one away. Now we're going to use the pen tool. Click the pen tool, position the pointer over the bottom left anchor point of the frame until a diagonal line forms, which we can see happening now beside the pen tool, and then click the anchor point. All right. Moving up and to the right, click the intersection of the pink vertical guide and the orange vertical guide. There we go. Moving down and to the right, click where the next vertical guide intersects with the bottom page. There we go. Repeat steps 2 and 3 until your image matches figure 63. You want to make sure that you close that path. So you can see now that I'm hovered down in the lower right hand corner over that anchor point, there's a little rounded icon next to my pen tool. That means I'm about to close it. I just closed the path. Okay, so work with polygons and compound paths. Now you want to deselect all. So go to that selection tool and deselect. Then click the default fill and stroke button on the tools panel, which is here. Make sure that's default, which mine was already set to default. Click the ellipse tool. Make sure you're on the ellipse tool here, right there, which is hidden under that rectangle tool. Then position the pointer at the intersection of the cyan guide and the center pink guide. Right about here. Press and hold Alt, or Option if you're on a Mac, and then click. okay? And then it wants us to type in 1.65 in the width and 1.65 in the height. And then click OK. Select the selection tool. Click the selection tool, press and hold Shift, then select the frame that contains the ghosted image. And both the circle and the frame should be selected, which they are, you can tell by these little anchor points here. Click Object on the menu bar, point to Paths, and then click Make Compound Path. You can see now that that made a compound path with the circle that we had selected and the ghosted image. Now, using the selection tool, select the text in the pasteboard. You might have to back out to do that. Click Object on the menu bar, point to Arrange, click Bring to Front, and then position it as shown in Figure 64. Right about there. Click on the selection tool, click the compound path, then add a 1-point black stroke to the path. There we go. Click the ellipse tool, then position the pointer at the intersection of the cyan guide and the center pink guide. Press and hold Shift, then drag a circle that is the width of the two columns. Change the stroke color to magenta, and then change that stroke width to 3.5. The stroke weight is now 3.5. Click the pen tool, then click to add an anchor point in the two locations where the circle intersects with the black diagonal lines. Okay, so I'm going to now center this in the column to make it a little bit more easily read here. And then again, it says to click the pen tool, then click to add an anchor point in the two locations where the circle intersects with the black diagonal lines. 1, 2. Click the direct selection tool, deselect all, select the magenta circle, select only the top anchor point of the larger circle, click Edit on the menu bar, and then click Cut. So now we've cut that top part of the circle. Okay. Now we're going to click the Start List arrow on the stroke panel. Right here. Then click Barbed. There we go. Click the End List arrow, then click Barb. Giving it arrows on each side. Click the Type List arrow, and then click Dashed. So you want to make sure that that is actually on the dashed at the bottom, dashed. And then it has us typing in 12 in the first dash, and then in the gap area, type 8, type 4 in the next dash, and then type 8. Okay, and then click on the round cap button in the stroke panel, which is up here. Okay, now we're going to work with advanced text features, corner effects, and drop shadows. So click the ellipse tool. I'm going to deselect all first. Click the ellipse tool. Position the pointer at the intersection of the cyan guide and the center pink guide. Press and hold Alt or Option on the Mac, and then click. Okay. Type 3.25 in the width text box and 3.25 in the height. Then click OK. Click the pen tool. Then click to add an anchor point in the two locations where the new circle intersects with the black diagonal lines. One there and one there. Click the direct selection tool. Deselect all. Click the edge of the new circle. Select its top anchor point. And again, we're going to want to click Edit on the menu bar and then click Cut. Click the Selection tool. Click the Type on a Path tool. Position it over the circle so that a plus sign appears beside the pointer, and then click the path at approximately 9 o'clock. Type, "We're having a garden party. You're invited." Select all of the text, so Control A. Change the font to Trajan or a similar font. Before we change the font and all of the things that it says below, we're going to stop and with this video and move on to the next video. See you then.